Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to the Super Bowl week show. We are here back at my homestead, and we're going to be going through some great ideas for bets on the Super Bowl today. We'll give you some prop bets. We'll give you some betting angles. The fact of the matter is, though, we have already been delivering probably more content and more analysis and deep diving thoughts into the outcomes of this game than probably any other show that's out there, because we hit you guys with the Tuesday show last Tuesday. We hit you with the Friday show. We hit you with another Tuesday show on this past Tuesday night for 2.5 hours breaking down the game with all four of our key members, plus we got bets from all of you guys as well. So we had a ton of analysis and deep dives and information as to what we think is going to happen in this game. And no, don't get me wrong, we're still going to hit on a little bit of that as we continue the show today. But we thought we would lighten up the mood a little bit as well. It's Friday. I'm sure you guys, just like we are, have heard about the Super Bowl ad nauseum. You probably have most of your bets in. Hopefully, the bets that you're going to be betting now from this point onward, mostly are at post. Mostly you're going to be betting some unders. You've already got some good bets in and beat the numbers as of right now. And so let's lighten up the mood a little bit. So we are going to bring on a guest, and we're going to be rolling through some more of my deeper analysis, which, like I said, if you missed it, you definitely need to head over to our channel on Sharp Football Analysis on YouTube and check out the show we did Tuesday, which was about 2 hours and 15 minutes of some of the deepest, most poignant Super Bowl analysis from a matchups perspective that you will find out there in terms of what we think is going to happen when KC has the ball, what we think is going to happen when Philly has the ball, and how those two teams are going to match up against one another. But one thing that we did, which, by the way, make sure that you guys are subscribed over on that YouTube channel, Sharp Football Analysis. Make sure that you're following the show over there. I'm wearing the same jacket that I had on last Tuesday. Got this Super Bowl jacket special. Pretty nice jacket. Really, I'm going to get some wear out of it, let's be honest, because after the Super Bowl, mostly it's just going to be hanging in the closet. But one of the things that's going to be going on the souvenir shelf pretty soon, in a couple of days, and probably never to be touched again, but that's what happens when you buy crap at the Super Bowl, is the official game coin for the Super Bowl. And I saw this and I thought, you know what, this is kind of interesting. Why not get a Super Bowl game coin? And it's interesting because this is the most bet prop. I don't know if you know this, but this is the most bet prop on the Super Bowl every single year. I have no idea why. I personally have never bet the coin toss. But what got me thinking about the coin, and so you can see it right here. This is the official coin, official game coin. Now, this is going to be one of the coins that they are going to flip at the opening coin toss. Ron Torbert is the head referee. You've heard from Joe Gibbs about his insights onto what team he thinks Ron Torbert might favor, or more specifically, what types of penalties this crew might be more likely or less likely to call, and how that could play into some of the strengths and weaknesses of the teams. But Ron Torbert is probably going to be handing this off to somebody who is then going to flip this coin. And what got me to thinking about this coin is that every single, a while ago, one of my good friends, Bill Krakenberger, told me a story about how one year the Super Bowl coin, because you can't bet on the coin toss for anything else, but one year the Super Bowl coin was not properly distributed from a mass perspective. There was too much mass on one side. It weighed too much, and they had a good idea as to the outcome of that coin toss. And so even if you think it's going to land 54%, 55% due to some distribution, it's not like you're not going to have 45% go the other way. But they hit and got down a lot on that Super Bowl betting the coin toss. What we are going to have, since I know nothing about the coin toss, we're going to have a guy who has studied the coin toss in depth, along with a bunch of other novelty props. And he has a little bit of a track record of betting some of these things. He's going to come on, talk about the history of the coin toss, talk about the history of the coin. This specific coin was minted by Highland Mint. And they didn't always mint the coins. And he's got all the backstory on what's going on with Highland Mint. So what we're going to do is we're just going to flip and track throughout the show. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl. I'm going to be answering your questions. Tom said Tuesday, or Positron said Tuesday was special. Jason says, where are the pies? I don't know, where are the pies? We're not going to do a pie show before the Super Bowl, obviously, with Joe House. But with that said, we dropped the coin. Here we go. Our first coin toss. We're going to just start flipping this thing. First flip is heads. Now this is the head side, by the way, the logo side. Now this side is a little bit more raised. The tail side got the two team logos. So you can just remember, I always like mnemonic devices. Tails is teams, heads is the logo. Okay, tails is teams, heads is the logo. I'm just going to flip this, and in a minute we're going to be welcoming in our first guest. Tails. I'm going to do this tails, heads, tails, tails, heads, heads, tails, heads. Now this is just a reminder, heads, that we do have our 67-page Super Bowl report, heads, is right here. If you want the serious stuff, you've come for the fun stuff today, the nonsensical stuff. But if you want the serious stuff, we wrote a 67-page Super Bowl report right here that breaks down all aspects of this game. And that is available up on Sharp Football Analysis, as well as all of our Super Bowl bets. 50% off, use code SHOW50. You can find all the serious stuff. We're 25-9 on postseason sides and totals this year, 27-10 all time in the Super Bowl. And so we're going to be, I have 2 bets on this year's Super Bowl official game bets. And then we have a bunch of elevated bets. I have my favorite bet that I'm not going to share on this show right now, but we're going to see if we can add to the 27-10, hopefully boost that to 29-10 after this. But let's keep flipping, and then we're going to bring on our guest, another heads, tails, heads. Let's get a couple more heads. And by the way, guys, I'm going to tails, flip this coin all during our guest heads. And I'm not going to interrupt him, tails, with my call outs. I'm going to hold it up to the camera, heads, heads. So with that said, do we have Edward backstage? If we've got Edward backstage, tails, let's bring on Edward. Heads. I'll wait. I don't want to. I'm overloading my producer here. He's got to flip the tracker and bring in Edward. Do we have Edward? I don't know if we have Edward. We got Edward.
Hey.
There he is. Okay, Edward. So I'm introducing you as a novelty prop and Super Bowl coin flip historian. So why don't you first talk to us a little bit about the coin, like your background in kind of how you got into like looking at some of these interesting markets.
Well, always found like the novelty props fun, especially for the Super Bowl. I was the one who bet on Adam Levine to take off his shirt during the halftime show and won a couple of years ago.
Now, let me ask you this. Did you get a hit? Did he do this? How do you handicap something like that ahead of time? Why did you decide to bet on that?
I have a friend who's a huge Maroon 5 fan, and he kind of gave me he's been to a lot of concerts, says he takes off his shirt almost every show. So I was like, okay,
okay. So, yeah, that's good.
So I bet, yes, he would. It was a prop, and got some money there. So that was fun. And then just love the coin flip, the national anthem, Gatorade bath, although that one's kind of a toss up. And then the halftime show in general. And I also like Oscar bets and stuff like that too. So they're just fun. They're a little bit different. It's more exciting.
Coin down. Keep rolling.
I see the heads are winning right now. That's interesting. But because of that, over the years, I've done a ton of research on the heads and tails and the Super Bowl coins to kind of know where we are and what's been going on. So some things I found, which is very interesting, is this. The Highland Mint, which is the coin you have in your hand right there. They started making the coin in 1994. That was the first Super Bowl they did between the Dallas Cowboys and the Bills. Obviously, the Bills lost that one. But since then, they've been making the coin for a while. They were kind of making it to where heads was the 2 football helmets from the teams and the Super Bowl trophy, and the back was just the NFL logo. Then they started going in between and kind of making it so one side was the logos of the teams and the other side was the actual, LIX or whatever it would be, the year of the Super Bowl in the numerals. So interesting stats is overall in the history of the NFL Super Bowl coin toss, 28 times heads, 30 times tails. So pretty even there. The longest head streak is 5 in a row, and the longest tail streak is 4 in a row. However, that has happened 3 times. Sorry, 3 times tails. At 4. This is crazy. Just watching you flip coins. I love it.
You take this seriously. You got the streaks of the coins and everything. Oh, yeah. Jack sees in tweet. He hasn't seen the back of the jacket. Jack, if you haven't seen the back of the jacket, this is. I'm not sure what the relevance is here for maybe the New Orleans Saints, but it's a stained glass on the back there. So it's kind of business in front, with the black and the party in the back. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, give me one of those. Last 18 years since they started kind of putting the Roman numerals on one side and the teams on the other. Heads 10, tails 8. So heads have kind of made a comeback here recently. The last 10, tails 6, heads 4. The last 5, heads 3, tails 2. So pretty evenly matched here throughout the years. So looking for a trend here that says, okay, this is crazy, right? I found one. And it has to do with the actual Roman numerals on the head side of the coin. During the 30s, the Super Bowl 30 stretch, where Roman numerals, we had 4 or more during that stretch. Tails hit 9 out of 10 times.
Oh, slow down. 9 out of 10 tails. During the years when we had 4 Roman numerals on the coin. So
correct.
This is not a flip. Don't count this one, but we're going to hold the coin back here. So this is the head side, and obviously we only have 3.
Yep. So like Super Bowl 32, 5 Roman numerals, tails. 33, tails. 34, tails. Right? 35, tails. And then, interesting enough, the St. Louis, New England Super Bowl, which was 36, heads. And then the next 3, all tails. It didn't take until we went down to lower Roman numerals until the heads started having their streak and kind of a comeback. So maybe because there's so many numerals on the front, it makes it a little bit heavier. Therefore, it's more likely to drop face down, leaving the tails up. So that's the only crazy trend I could ever find that said, hey.
So since that point in time, you're saying that was during the years with the 4 Roman numerals. Now we're down to 3.
Mm-hmm. So what
do we have with the?
I'm thinking it's going to be a heads. Heads again have been winning lately with the last 5. I'm kind of leaning towards heads this year. I know people say tails never fails, but heads has also been 3 of the last 4. And with the lower numerals. And by the way, 2 years ago, we had 4 numerals and that landed tails, which means the heavier side with 4 Roman numerals was face down. So I'm
4 years ago, we had 4 and it landed side down. Okay. And these are all with Highland Mint, right? Was Highland Mint doing the years that they had the 4 that hit
yes,
tails 9 of 10 years because the head side was landing down?
Highland Mint has been doing it, like I said, since 1994. Before that, interesting enough, it was whatever coin the ref had in their pocket. It's been half dollars, silver dollars, quarters, Whatever they had was the coin they
Really?
used up until 1994. Yeah, there was really no one ever really knew.
Wait, so
Highland
Highland Mint was the only one that ever did this? They didn't like change
Correct.
mints. They just, prior to Highland Mint doing it in 94, you said?
Yep.
They just
correct.
had the ref grab the penny out of his pocket and flip
yeah.
it.
Yep. Ever since Super Bowl I.
And
that was a lot of
commissioner that doesn't count. That was I didn't flip that. By the way, the reason that we're doing the flips like this is because they do not like, you know, if you're flipping, sometimes you grab it like this, put it down like that, whatever. They flip it and it lands on the ground. So I could flip it and land it on the ground if I wanted to, but frankly, I don't want to keep reaching over to pick it up. So we're just, whatever it lands, that's what it is on my hand.
So yeah, so this would be the 32nd year of the Highland Mint, and they're made in Melbourne, Florida. If anyone wanted to know anything about that, you could go deeper into that. But yeah, and yeah, they're numbered.
Does this company mint other things as well? Like
they do other coins like collector's coins and jewelry and stuff like that. But mostly collector coins. Yours right there will be numbered. The first 100 are given to the NFL. The next, I think, 9,900 are for sale. So I'm not sure what number you have there, but it's going to be numbered.
We have 2,369 out of 10,000 supposedly.
Yeah, there you go. So again, 100 for the NFL and 9,900 for the people out there. So cool little thing. And there is a little bit of gold in there. There actually is real gold highlighted in there as well. So it's a cool little coin.
Yeah, no, it is. This is the first year I've actually got my hands on it, and they do have other coins at the site. Some that they're all silver. They have no gold on the outside, but the ones that they actually use at the toss do have the gold. This is the official one. The ones that don't, that they sell on their website that are all silver, those are actually more expensive, but that's not the official coin that they flip. These are the official coin that they flip. Now let me ask you this. I read that these guys at Highland Mint, they don't actually weigh these to determine like if the sides are fair, right? In other words, they don't flip it, they don't test it beforehand. They just make the mold based upon the logo of the Super Bowl that year and the teams that are playing in it, and that just becomes the mold. So there isn't any sort of testing done to determine if it is properly balanced or something.
Not at all. A couple of years ago when the Rams and the Bengals faced off in the Super Bowl, that was a weird one because instead of having the logos on the back, they had the logos and the AFC and NFC logo. So they just kind of put different type of tails. The heads is pretty consistent now. It's always the Super Bowl logo with the Roman numerals. The back, they switched it up. Then a few years ago, we had the 100th season when the NFL 100, and that was on the back. So they don't weigh it at all because it's hard to kind of determine. It's all based on branding and all that good stuff as well. And they don't want to make them too similar every year because then they're not as collectible, right? And this is all about being collectible and making money. That's why the Highland Mint does it. So yeah, they don't weigh them at all. They just kind of do their thing and put them out there. So, but like I've seen, and I said, the more Roman numerals, it seems to be a little bit heavier on that head side.
Right. So your sort of prediction for this one, if you were to bet it, which I'm guessing you are, do you bet all these various different things?
I dabble, yes.
You dabble? Okay. Yeah. So of course the props novelty props aficionado and Super Bowl historian would be betting these things, of course. And now I think one thing is very important to note. This is just for shits and giggles. This is just to bide some time here, honestly. But B, if you are betting this, you should not be going out to bet it someplace that does not have this at even money on both sides. And I've actually seen a sports bettor out there, Steve Fezzik. He mentioned that you could try to increase your some of your bonuses and things like that if you do bet the coin toss a little bit. But you should be finding the books that have even money on both sides. I know DK does. And if you guys in the chat know of any other spots that do have even money, that is where you should be betting it. So Ian says ESPN Bet also has the coin toss at even money. So DK and ESPN Bet, if you guys know of any other spot, I know somebody replied to the tweet earlier and said that they were minus 105 at Caesars or something like that. You should not be betting the coin toss unless you're getting even money on both sides.
Definitely agree with that. Yeah.
Okay. There we go.
And I am picking heads. I'm going to be putting the bet on heads, I think, this weekend.
Okay, heads. And keep in mind, as in case you guys are joining us a little bit late, I have not flipped this one, so don't count this in the tracker. This is the head side with the Super Bowl logo and Roger Goodell's signature, and then the tail side here has the two teams, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay. Anything else you can give us? We have, some time to kill. Anything else you want to talk about the coin toss before we move on to other markets?
No, I think I pretty much covered it. I mean, that's kind of where we stand. The more Roman numerals seem to be tails more, the less seem to be heads more. I mean, that's kind of the general consensus of all the stats from the year.
Okay. All right. So why don't we pivot over to some of your other favorite novelty props? So talk about any markets you want. We'll just run the gamut and I'll just ask you some questions. You can share whatever you want.
Sure. Let's talk about the national anthem. This is a popular one. This year it's John Batiste. Now this one's very interesting because over the years with the national anthem.
First of all, sorry to interrupt you. If you guys are listening in, Edward, why don't you want to drop your Twitter handle, X handle, whatever, so people can follow you?
It's my name. It's just at Edward Raus, EDWARDRAUS, at Edward Raus on Instagram, Twitter, all your favorite social media networks. And I'm going to be putting up some of my picks there today as well. So the national anthem is a very interesting one because the line this year is set right at 2 minutes. And there is a video of John Batiste actually doing a national anthem. And you know where it hit? You know how long it was? Exactly 2 minutes. It's almost like the market found this leaked video. Yeah. Not at the Super Bowl. No. Not a practice or anything. This is just one he's done in the past. Interesting enough, when the national anthem the line is set at 2 minutes or above, since 2018, it's always gone under. And if it's set at under 2 minutes, it's gone over. So this one's right at 2 minutes. So it's kind of interesting. Last year, Rebo went it was actually a push and over because it was close enough, but it was over. Chris Stapleton was set at 205. He went under. Mickey Guyton was 135, went over. So it's kind of this weird little thing here. Now, the thing we don't know, and this is it, a lot of times when the Super Bowl is outdoors, people are around and could hear the practice and they could time it, right? Just being outside the stadium.
Right.
We're indoors this year. So you have to be inside the stadium to actually hear the practice. So I don't know if there's going to be any leaks or anything like that. But this one's tough for me this year because I don't know if he's going to not play an instrument. Is he going to play a piano? Is he going to, he could play different instruments.
So he might not play the piano? I thought that he was.
Nobody know. We don't know. We don't know. Okay. We can't see the rehearsal. We don't know. He does play the piano. He could also sing without the piano. So if he plays the piano, I'm going to lean towards the over. If he does it, probably under. That's the kind of where I'm heading, but I don't know. And until I find something and I'm going to look if he's going to play the piano or not, then that's kind of where I'm going to stand. But if I don't find out or I don't see anything about what instrument he's playing, then I'm probably going to stay away from it. But piano over, no piano, probably under. That's the kind of the way I look at it. Now, in the video that is shown, he is playing piano from his previous
prior year.
Correct. So, but we don't know.
Was that at when he was doing this All-Star game?
Yeah, in the past. And then now Alicia Keys, when she played the piano, she went over, and it was 2 minutes and 36 seconds, which has been the longest national anthem for the last 20 years. The piano slows everything down. It creates, it's naturally a slow down instrument. So that's kind of what I'm looking for there.
What was her time on that? Not that it matters here, but
Alicia Keys was 2 minutes and 36 seconds, and the line was set at 2:15, and she went way over, and that was in 2013. So other than that, there hasn't been a lot of piano players over.
Don't count that one; it hit the ceiling. Mind you, as I'm flipping these, I am trying not to look at the coin. I'm just grabbing it out of my hand. I'm trying to look at Edward here. But that one hit the ceiling, so we're not going to count that one.
Look at this. We got like a little bit of a streak going on here.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. It seems a little skewed here. Hopefully, it'll get back on track. I mean, it is what it is. Not that it matters. It's just a coin.
Yeah.
Also, Jason, I think our producer popped this up, but Jason said Bet365 is also even money for the coin toss. So there you go. Hey, guess what, guys? If you're a book and you're watching this and you put even money on your coin toss for the people, then you'll get your name shouted out maybe. So why don't you do that instead of trying to take money off of people for betting a coin toss?
And then so some other popular bets for novelty wise are obviously the Gatorade bath. That one's kind of tough because they have water. They have different flavors of Gatorade all over the field. You never know which one they're going to pick up. So there's really it's kind of a shot in the dark really on that one. The stats are random. Sometimes it's water, sometimes it's purple, sometimes it's orange, it's red. You don't know because there's every type of flavor because the players request different flavors based on what they like, right? So you're going to have 5 different flavors there, just whichever one they grab. So that's literally a absolute do not bet on in my eyes because you actually have favorites and they should all be even money in my eyes. But you have favorites like the purple favored over the clear. So it's like I would stay away from those. But the halftime show is a fun one. And this year we have Kendrick Lamar. And some things I like there is opening song here is Not Like Us. That's
right. That's his big one, as I'm told.
Most recent. Yeah, he's a kind of a little smack talk on Drake song, which actually won 5 Grammys recently and went 5 for 5. It's hot right now. And you could get it at plus money and to be the first song played. So I do like that one. I think he's going to come out strong with that because it's what everyone knows right now. And that would be smarter for him. A lot of people watching don't know his work. So to play something that's the hot song, I think would be smart. And then to end with Humble is another one I like. His song Humble, to end with Humble, I think are the two I like there. You could also bet on if he's going to bring out people. And you could actually bet if he's going to bring out Drake. I'm not going to lie. Plus 3,500 if he'll bring out Drake. That's not going to happen, people. But it's just kind of fun that it's there. It's almost like the books are messing with us. So, yeah, those are kind of the ones I like for the halftime show. It's going to be an interesting halftime show. But, yeah, those are the two I like to open with, Not Like Us, and end with Humble. And you could also bet on the amount of songs. This normally goes over. Like Usher went way over last year. And it's set at 10.5. I kind of like.
What do you think on that one?
I kind of like the under here. Because when it comes to Lamar,
by the way, I'm flipping my arm a little bit because I don't want to wear out my left shoulder holding up to the camera each time.
I kind of like the under here only because he doesn't have like catchy choruses like Usher does, stuff like that. He's gonna do more lyric style rapping because that's what he is. So I think the under of 10.5. I don't think he plays over 10.5 song. I think he plays more of the song than a normal pop star would do, going from chorus here to chorus here to chorus here for the hits. So I kind of like the under of the total amount of songs there for Kendrick Lamar. And that's kind of the bets and picks for novelty I kind of like. Again, staying away from the Gatorade bath because it's just a dumb bet in my opinion. But the heads and tails, taking heads. I do like if he's playing piano, over on the 2 minutes. If he's not, probably under. And I like those Kendrick Lamar, the under on songs, and Not Like Us opening, and Humble at the end.
Tyler says, I would like to bet on Not Like Us being played more than once.
That could be possible.
Is that such a thing? Why would they go? Why would they double that back up?
Listen, he could open with it and maybe like the chorus or a part of it, and then go back into it later and say something that is also a prop bet that I don't know if you want to mention on the show, but there's a word that if he says, you could actually bet on. It's against Drake, obviously, because it is a Drake hate song or but he could go back into it later. It's possible. It's possible. I would not, but if there's a line for that, I haven't seen it. Tyler said he'll do it for the people.
Where do you see that? Where do you see that, Tyler? Do you see that somewhere? Obviously, you must.
Yeah, I have not seen that. He'll play Not Like Us twice or parts of it. I doubt he'll play the same part twice, but he may start it, go into something else, and come out of it with the end. I don't know, but I would not put money on that.
All right, he's just saying I don't, just thinking out loud. And I've no, that's probably not going to count as a second song. It should still count as the first song, even if you came back to it. I would assume. If you guys have any questions for Edward in the chat here about stuff he looks at, I'll keep talking to him for a little bit longer. We can slip in some of your questions, but about any other novelty props for the Super Bowl or the coin toss, obviously that's a novelty prop as well. Just feel free to post those in the chat. As a reminder, we are doing this live over on YouTube, Sharp Football Analysis over on YouTube, and you can follow us over there. Make sure that you're subscribed over there, and that's where you can participate in the Q&A. We'll be here for a little while longer, breaking down the game in a little bit once we're done talking to Edward. So Edward, what else, what other, aside from the Super Bowl, which obviously you can't really bet novelty props in any regular season NFL game, but what other sporting events do you do throughout the rest of the year in terms of handicapping and betting those? Are there, I'm sure, novelty props in the All-Star game for both baseball and basketball, or?
Yeah, there are. There's I do the which is coming soon here, the NBA skills. I like to do the skills, the slam dunk winner, 3-point contest winner, stuff like that. That's kind of fun. I've hit on the slam dunk winner. Obviously, the last 2 years have been the same guy, and he's coming back this year in McClung. But I've hit on that like 4 out of the last 5 years, projecting who's going to win the slam dunk, and you can get some plus money there.
Are we? Let me just ask you this, because I watch from a periphery. We're never going to get the stars back in this, the slam dunk contest.
I doubt it. I mean, there's
not enough upside for them.
Not enough upside. There's too much risk involved with injury, and just. I think the thing with the slam dunk is what made it so great, in the Vince Carter, Michael Jordan years, and all the way through where Dwight Howard was doing Superman, and the greatest dunk contest was Gordon versus Levine. That was some fun.
Those are some good dunks.
Year. But I mean, I think that the novelty is kind of worn out because you can only do so much, right? And we've seen so much over how many years of creativity, and it's like, what else can you do? Like, it's just like. And guys are getting more athletic, and their bodies expect more out of them, and it's just not. Yeah, the stars are kind of staying out of it, so it is kind of become almost like an amateur type contest, like an and one thing. But it's still fun to watch. I enjoy it. I haven't been wowed by anything I haven't seen lately, but for the most part, that's kind of where it is. I just think the creativity is right now.
Okay, so you do a little bit of the skills challenge. What else do you get involved in?
Sometimes I'll do a little MLB All-Star as well. I didn't touch the Pro Bowl games, I'll be honest. But All-Star, baseball, you can bet on strikes and balls, and pretty much the line for every hitter is total base 1, which is fun because you could just you could pick like, okay, this guy's starting, he's batting third, he's probably going to get 2 at bats. It's 0.5 for total base. All you have to do is get on base in one of those at bats. And those are kind of fun. And then you have, I like to do like Oscars is a really fun one, which is coming up too as well. And the Golden Globes and stuff like that, which is always fun because I'm a big movie buff as well. So I have fun with it. I also bet on normal sports. Do
you have any? Let me ask you this: do you have any early bets for either of those for the people in the chat or who are watching? I don't know when they put lines out on any of that stuff, so I could be way early on it.
For the All-Star slam dunk, I think McClung is going to 3-peat. I would put money on that. And then as far as the Oscars, the Brutalist, anything the Brutalist is nominated for, anything, director, movie, put something down and you'll come up on top because it's everything. And you can look at the Golden Globes and all the other award shows that's already happened, and it's sweeping everything, which history tells us if it sweeps all those smaller award shows, it's going to sweep the Oscars. Just money on the Brutalist everywhere you can. I haven't seen it yet. I hear it's like 4 hours. And
you got that right.
So, but yeah, that's kind of where I stand on that.
All right, we got a question here from that boy Klaus, who says, "Are there props for commercials?"
There are in weird markets, but not like you're not going to find them on DK or any of those. There's some like I've seen a few that are like total number of animals, but it's like it's some some book I really don't follow or never heard. There's props for first Super Bowl commercial after halftime, what brand it'll be. I kind of stay away from those because you have to only bet them on weird markets, and you don't want to give them money because they're kind of a little shady, in my opinion. Like you're not going to find those on DraftKings or Bet365 or FanDuel or any of those. So I would kind of stay away from those, and you never know. And a lot of times you may think and they switch stuff around. You have a whole production team running the commercials with spots, and time happens and things have to be in a certain time. People pay more for this time and more for that, and they don't have a schedule. They switch stuff around, so it's based on the time of the game and whatnot. And I do think this game is going to be a shorter game than most years because of the way
fewer possessions
line up. Correct. So yeah, I'm not touching the commercial props. It's just, to me, not worth the value.
All right. He also asked, are there any other props for camera cuts to Trump, Swift, or any other famous celebrity in attendance? I'm sure there are for Swift.
There is.
Jason then says, any thoughts on under Taylor Swift 6.5 times shown during the game?
See, a lot of that has to do with game script. I'll be honest. If it's a tense game and, it's close, they may show her like more often or less often because they're focused on the game. If the Chiefs are up by a lot in the fourth quarter, they may keep on showing her because she's celebrating and they know they have it in the bag. That's a tough one to really not have any stats on. I saw another one too that's fun and is if the Chiefs win, will Travis Kelce, I get the Kelce brothers mixed up all the time. Will Travis Kelce propose to Taylor Swift on the field? Don't do that one either. I don't think he's the type of person that would do that, or she would want that. I mean, that's kind of more of a college type thing, but that one's fun too. But yeah, that's a lot, and
that was a bad flip.
That's a lot of time to show her, and I think a lot of people watching are kind of oohing that, and I don't think the NFL and the production team want to overdo it. So if I had to pick one, I'd probably say under, to be honest. But
under her appearances.
Yeah, at that number, that was pretty high. But
I also heard. Well, I don't know where I heard this. Will Taylor Swift be pictured along with like an Eagle, like the picture of her wearing a Eagles shirt? Because I guess she grew up as an Eagles fan.
Yeah, I doubt it. I think she'll be all.
No, but like would they show the picture of her from like back in the day wearing the Eagles shirt? Would they post that up on TV?
Probably not during the game, but I can see that being because, the pregame show is literally 8 hours long of whatever they could find. I can see them showing it in the pregame show. I really could. But during the game, I doubt they would do that.
Tom asks, what books are the go-to for these halftime show props? I'm having trouble finding any of them using BetMGM, DK, FanDuel, Bovada. Definitely not going to be. I wouldn't think they'd be on any DK, FanDuel.
No,
MGM.
Some of the halftime is you can get them on. I think Bovado does have them. I think so. And then Betano.
Bovada
does have them somewhere. They're harder to find, but they're there. And then Betano has a ton. If you want, Betano is BETANO. They have a lot, and then they have all the information on the Covers website as well for that.
BetOnline has a bunch as well. BetOnline
and BetOnline. Yep. So
you have to look at the right menu. I was just looking at these yesterday for the anthem. If you go down to off to the left, you don't click the game. You click over to the Super Bowl drop-down menu on the left side if you're using your laptop or like your computer. And then there's something called Anthem Specials. That's where you'd find Anthem Specials. Then there's something called Broadcast. They have 73 props here for the broadcast. Primary color of Brady's tie. Will Kelce, what jersey will Jason Kelce wear? Clip of Jalen Hurts fumble during the Super Bowl, last Super Bowl be shown.
Yes.
Head coach shown first during the broadcast. How many times will Jason Kelce be shown? How many times will Roger Goodell be shown? Will they play John Mellencamp's Hurts So Good heading into a commercial? Will they play Johnny Cash or 9 Inch Nails into a commercial? Times Tom Brady's voice will crack during the game.
That's a great one.
Let's see some others here. Who will be mentioned first? Chiefs, Eagles have NFL's best record the past 3 seasons, or Andy Reid is the winningest coach between both teams. What will Jason Kelly do first? Take off his top, shotgun, or chug a beer? Which will he do first? Minus 120 on both of those.
I think that one would be all at the same time. I think that's the answer to that one.
Right. Let's see. What book will AJ Brown be reading at halftime? Some of the books are, I'll just read these. The Bible, Of Mice and Men,
Wow.
The Catcher in the Rye, Inside the Philadelphia Eagles, any Shakespeare, or Love Hurts, Buddhist Advice for the Heartbroken.
Okay, if you bet on that,
they're obviously just trying to elicit. They're just trying to elicit your money, right?
Yeah,
they're trying to get anybody to bet anything on.
How do you know?
These.
Don't they go in the locker room at halftime? How would we even know what book he's reading at halftime?
Good question. Good question. Which owner will be shown first? So some of these are a little bit more serious about the broadcast. Others are just like complete nonsense.
The coach one's interesting because, you know, Sirianni had that moment during the national anthem last Super Bowl that they played, or 2 years ago. I think they may show him first because of that moment that he had where he was tearing up.
Oh yeah, he was. I mean, that was more than tearing up. I thought that was just like, wasn't it like a faucet?
It was full cry. Yeah. I was being modest. Yeah, it's a full cry. I think they may show him first just to recapture that moment because of that. So if I would lean a little bit that way on that one.
Let me see if they have that.
Andy Reid's kind of,
first coach being shown during the broadcast. So Sirianni right now is plus 100 to Andy Reid. Andy Reid's minus 140.
Okay, so you get a little value there. I mean, at plus 100, it's kind of worth it because in the back of your head he had that moment years ago. So maybe they try to recreate that moment with him at that moment. So now, does the national anthem count as the?
No, it's when the first words are spoken or sung in this case.
Okay.
Once the words start, that's when the timer starts as well.
So to show him would be then, and then that would work. Yeah. There you go.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. Vernon says about the coin, the refs usually let the coin drop. Yeah. They let it drop onto the floor because they're only flipping it one time. I'm flipping hundreds of times here. I'm going to catch it, but I'm letting it drop onto my hand. And that's the side that's up. So the key is the refs don't turn the coin over to the other side, which some people do when they flip a coin, catch it, and then do that. We're not doing that. We're doing it just like it would land on the field, except I'm just letting it fall into my hand. No, the camera can't see it that well.
Yeah, we have another Tails was coming back for a while, but now we have another huge head streak right here.
Head streak, yeah. It's going to be interesting to see where we end up here.
How many are you planning on doing in this?
That's a good question. I've got a cutoff at 90 minutes.
Okay.
So we'll go to at least.
We're halfway there.
We're halfway there. Feeling okay right now. Probably going to be a little sore tomorrow. With all
your thumb is going to be sore, yeah.
Yeah, I was contemplating switching to the left, but I'm not to that stage just
yet. You got to balance them out, you can't.
Exactly. Now, I think you would know better than this. I rewatched last year's coin flip, and the ref hands the coin to like some special guest who has a special, like something tied to the city or whatnot. Is that generally the case?
Yes,
and that person is the one who flips it.
Yeah, like the honorable coin bearer or whatever they call it.
Yes, the honorable. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So that's a little bit on some of the props and some of the novelty props. Background on Edward. How long have you been doing this, would you say? Like betting on these props? And I'm sure, like all of us, when you get into something, you start just as a curiosity and then you take it a little bit more seriously at some point along the way. So how long ago did you start, and then when did you start taking this a little bit more seriously?
I mean, when was the Adam Levine shirt off prop? That was the Rams Patriots. So before that, like a few years before that. So I don't know. We're looking at like 6-7 years of this, 8 years maybe of just getting into it. So yeah, it's been, and when I'm one of those guys, like when I get into something, I have to know, because I'm just one of those, okay, I'm intrigued. how many times has it actually been heads? How many times has it actually been tails? Is there anything different that made this stand out? So I just look at the past and find these stats and articles and stuff and say, okay, cool. I've actually looked at I went back when I started this and looked at what all the coins look like. What was on the heads?
Yep.
What was on the tails? Way too much time on my hands, I think. But yes, and then it's just got into it, and it's just fun because it's like you bet on the game, which I do too. I bet on player props, and I'm not touching the spread this year, but there's some player props I like and stuff like that. But you bet on the game, but then it's just fun to like start off with a heads or tails, to get the game going. It's just fun, and then stuff like the national anthem when you're sitting there and you're timing it as you're trying to watch it. It's just exciting and fun, and there's short little snippets of just fun bets. Halftime show. You don't like the band playing, but at least you have how many songs over and under. No, don't play one more song. Don't play one more song. It's just cool, fun.
Well, the thing out there, we won't count that one because I flipped over a few times on the keyboard here. The thing that people need to realize is that with some of these, and even with the commercial ones, I would assume, but with some of these, there is an answer. Like someone knows the answer to these. That's why a lot of like the major US books sometimes will not take these, because there is an answer that people are aware of. And eventually, once that answer leaks in some capacity, the market plummets or tanks in the one direction where it's truly headed as to the people that know are betting, trying to figure out how we can get down as much money as possible. And so a little advice, if you are studying one of these markets, whether it's like one of these niche markets about commercials, or it's something a little bit more widely bet on at tons of different books that would have the same prop. If you see the market moving in one direction massively, probably the choice is to bet with that movement as opposed to try to fade that movement, and do so as soon as possible, because eventually that prop is going to get taken off the board, because the books realize that somebody knows this information is out there somewhere.
Especially halftime.
Halftime. And so whether like the color of somebody's hat, or will he wear a hat or not, what color is a girl's dress that she's going to be wearing, the actual time of the anthem. There's props like number of jets in the flyover, which I've bet on. That's one that I have bet on before, because the information is actually out there. Like the books like set a random prop, but you do a little digging, you find a report from the branch of military that's doing the flyover, where they've written a press release saying exactly how many jets are going to be in the flyover. I was out in the Vegas Super Bowl last year watching them practice the flyover, counting. Like I've videoed the flyover. I just happened to be at my hotel looking out my window, and I could see the flyover go right past. And so you could count and then bet it, and you knew exactly how many jets it was going to be. Now, some of the books was like over under 3.5 planes in the flyover, or whatever it was. And so it's like, yeah, it's going to be over. But if you can bet exactly, whatever the number was, I forget right now, then go ahead and bet that if some book is offering that, because it's going to be this exact amount. And of course it was. So that information on a lot of these markets is not just the flip of a coin, so to speak. No pun intended there. The information is known, and people like you who spend time digging might uncover the true information, or other people in the field.
Yeah, last year, Usher's opening song, I forget what it was, but I hit it early, like when it was plus like 140. And then by the end of the week, like the day before, it was like minus 1,200 until it went off. So I got it. Like that's how quick these things move. Like really quick.
Don't count that. I flipped it in my hand accidentally. Strong Jaw Rick says the poly market went crazy on Allen last night. So I saw some of those tweets where poly market saw the trends of Josh Allen to win MVP and Lamar Jackson. You saw those things being tweeted out. So that was somebody obviously knew. A bunch of people knew, they were betting it. Jason asks, any intel on who will win the Time 2025 Person of the Year? I have no idea when that award is even announced or anything like that.
Well, Trump just won for last year, so it's going to be next year around this time. So I have no idea. We got to play out and see how the year what happens.
There's a lot of year to go, and every single day seems like more than 24 hours in the day. So let's take that one slow. Vernon said first song is supposedly a snippet from from album that isn't an official song?
If it has to be an official song or official something. If it's a snippet from an album, that's a song on an album. Or if it's a skit or something, maybe that has to go into a song. So there's going to be a first song. It's just we don't know what it is yet. But you know what I mean? Like if it's a snippet from an album.
Okay, somebody here, I have no idea, but this is a pretty hilarious comment. So we might take me off the camera so I can go do this for a second. And Edward, you're going to fill time for about 30 seconds. So we're close to 3. We'll put me back on the camera right now. I just want to read this, and then I'll go do this. I rarely believe what I see on the internet, so I'm going to pretend that this is not actually Neil deGrasse Tyson's agent. Okay. However, it's an interesting point. Whichever side of the coin is more raised will accumulate oil from your hand, which is dense. So he's interested if after 300 flips, you wash the coin with soap and then try flipping the coin again if the heads trend reverses.
So are we going to do Bill Nye science experiments here?
Yeah, we might as well.
Why not? So after 300 times, the oil, this is crazy. The oil from your hand will like coat the coin. So you have to rewash it because maybe
we got 3 more flips until we're going to get 300.
Yeah. So the oil will cover, and because it's been heads so much, you're covering the heads more and there's more oil on it, make it a little heavier. So if you wash it with soap and then try it again, it'll be more even. That is insane. If that really is Neil deGrasse Tyson's agent, though, that's kind of cool.
Okay, so here's the thing. We're at 300 exactly. You can let Edward kill some time talking about some other crazy prop. Give me 30 seconds. I'm going to go wash this. What does he say? Wash it with soap. Let's go wash it with soap. Be right back.
Okay, he's going to wash that with soap because Neil deGrasse Tyson's agent told him to. Again, there's a ton of props for this that you guys can look all over the place. We just named a few. You know, what color will Tom Brady's tie be? You could bet on what John Batiste is going to wear. I would, for when he sings the national anthem, black, white, red. I would lean more towards black or white because those are the things I've seen him wear in the past. Probably black because the last national anthem he did when he sat at a piano, he was wearing black too. So there's that. You could bet on what Kendrick Lamar is going to be wearing, anything like that. So a lot of fun stuff.
All right, we're back.
And I was just talking about what John Batiste will be wearing. You could bet on that as well. Black or white, my choice. I wouldn't go any color because, and the video I saw of him doing the last national anthem that he did, he was wearing black. But I've also seen him perform on an award show where he was wearing white, and I really haven't seen him wear any of the colors than the two. So those are kind of my two there.
Okay.
All right. Did you rinse that thing
so
off?
We got a perfectly clean coin. I haven't touched the face of it yet. No, it's might be a little shinier now. Even that looks pretty impressive there.
Now the question everyone wants to know is what kind of soap did you use?
Just the push soap. It's probably
soap.
any average soap, not some sort of this detergent that's real thick.
Yeah.
It's just a foamy hand soap. Tyler says sick jerseys. He likes your jersey collection. You want to tell him what you got there?
Thank you. Yeah, no, this is LaDainian Tomlinson autographed jersey. I'm a huge Chargers fan, and then over here we have a Keenan Allen Chargers jersey that's autographed. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to bleach it and see if it becomes dark blue and yellow for the Bears. But no, I think he's gonna be on a different team actually this coming up year though. But yeah, Keenan Allen though, and I got a ton of signed baseballs from 8 different Padres players down here. I'm also a Padres fan, and I got this is the cool thing back here. I'm an Oregon fan, and I have 2 Oregon mini helmets in this case back here that are signed by Marcus Mariota and Justin Herbert. So that's kind of another cool.
That is pretty cool.
Thing I have, yeah. And I got that, man, before Herbert was even picked by the Chargers, which is fun. That was a fun.
There you go.
It wasn't that much, and now it's probably worth a lot more. And
we're 4-1 tails since washing the coin.
That has to be a coincidence or not. or is it?
That's the fun of this nonsense. It's just
play that music like ooh.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's the fun of this nonsense. It's just
watch
just
Tails come all the way back.
But no, this is actually, Edward, the perfect thing to do, having you on the show and having this coin and being able to flip it while we're interviewing you about novelty props, because what is more novelty than the Super Bowl coin, which is the most bet prop on the Super Bowl. It's the most bet.
It is.
Bet on the Super Bowl is who's going to win the coin toss. And again, you cannot emphasize this enough. Go find the books. What was it? Bet 365, DraftKings, and what was the third one?
Toss.
Chat. What was the third one that has even money on both sides of the coin toss? There was a third one out
ESPN
there.
ESPN
Bet. Yeah, there you go. Bet 365, ESPN Bet, DraftKings all have even money on the coin toss. So
interesting enough,
if you want to just have fun.
Interesting enough, after you watched it, the first one that hit was tails. Now the referee or the official coin bearer or whatever they call them will be a brand new coin, not full of oil.
That's true.
Interesting. Now, do you remember when the show started what the first one that hit was?
We will have to go back. Okay. I don't remember what it was.
If that was tails too, then there's very interesting things that are occurring here.
But see that yeah, but that's only two flips out of. But it is the freshest one. But
you're right. I mean, I'm just trying to find anything here that could be a trend. That's kind of my head. But yeah, so interesting enough, the clean coin hit tails. I'm still going heads though. I really do. I'm going with the Roman numeral is less means heads kind of trend.
Right. That's what your math is, and it seems to be playing out in the direction that you think it's going to go as it relates to that, at least in these first hour of flips here. We're almost an hour into this 90-minute challenge.
Tails never fails unless there's less than 4 Roman numerals on the coin.
Yeah, you got to put that.
Is that how the saying goes? I don't know. It's
dropped it again. This thing is a little durable here. I'm not seeing any types of.
You dropped it a few times. It looks
issues.
Good.
We've dropped it a few times. No marks on the edges at all.
I mean, it's a heavy-duty coin.
I mean, that ref. I wonder how long that ref has that coin in his pocket. He's got that coin in his pocket, and then he walks out there and he put his hand on it, and then he hands it to the master of ceremonies, whoever's flipping it.
I would think they hand it to him from the case right before he walks out there.
Okay.
So not very long. Think. I don't think he's sleeping with it in his bed the night before or anything. I think he just has it right there for. It's not like Ovechkin have to win the Stanley Cup, I think he just grabs it, puts it in his pocket, walks out there, pulls it out once, and says, "Here's the coin." He shows everybody, "This is heads, this is tails," and then the flip is done. I think that's kind of the routine of the pageantry of the Super Bowl coin flip.
You could probably Positron says we should find out who the celeb is that's tossing the coin. I'm sure you can definitely find that out ahead of time, but I have no idea how you would estimate the oil amounts.
Well, that's going to come down to female or male, I would imagine. And is there going to be lotion on the hands? Does this person an OCD lotioner? Who knows? Is it Howie Mandel? Because those hands are going to be clean.
Right, clean, and have they used sanitizer? Or they use lotion? What's their a lot of unknowns here that could impact.
Yeah. I like how we've narrowed this down from who makes the coins to who the celebrity tossed in and what they use as moisturizers.
Well, no, this has been a blast, and I appreciate you helping come up with this idea to do this and bring you on. And it's been a lot of fun to do, especially once you've seen a lot of our content. We've broken down the game ad nauseum, which we're going to do again here. We're going to break it down a little bit more. I'll answer some of your questions about the game itself momentarily. We'll play some videos and some of my takes on the game. So we'll get a little bit more serious here to close out the show. now that we're at the 1 p.m. Eastern time hour. But appreciate you coming on, Edward.
Of course.
Thanks so much. Good luck with all of your novelty prop bets. Good luck with the heads bet on the Super Bowl coin, and let's go. We'll see
Let's
you.
go heads,
later.
baby. All right. Enjoy
Everybody,
the game.
make sure that you guys are following Edward. Why don't you pop his up there again on, there we go, at Edward Raus.
That's right.
There you go. Make sure you guys are go follow him if you're interested in any type of novelty props. And you said you're going to list a few on your
I'll throw
handle.
some up
You're going
there.
to post a few. Okay.
Yeah, I'll throw some up there.
Okay, perfect.
Cool.
All right, great to see you, Edward.
You too. Enjoy the game.
Good luck this weekend. Yep, we will. All right, that was Edward Raus. Great stuff from him. So we are going to continue flipping these, but what we have is a series of videos of the way that I sort of see this game playing out potentially. Before we get into that, if you guys are interested, we are running a completely and very free props contest to enter. What we've done is we've taken 15 props and put them up on our website. If you go to sharp.football, you'll find them, and you can enter this online. All you need to do is answer the 15 questions. It's a quick survey. Yes, no. It's like a higher or lower, yes or no type thing. It takes like 4 minutes to go through this 15 question survey. And you're eligible to win up to $2,000 in cash and prizes. We'll be awarding first, second, and third place. So head over to sharp.football and fill out the survey. Try to do it as quickly as possible. Well, you can wait a little bit if you want to keep thinking about the bets, but don't forget, give yourself a reminder, because this takes 4 minutes to do, and you've got the opportunity to win upwards of, well, you can't win yourself $2,000 because you're spreading it between 3 places, but you have the chance to be part of cash and prizes totaling $2,000. So don't miss out on that opportunity to take advantage of that. We were going to have Pam on here. You guys know Pam. She came on our Tuesday show, which let me go ahead and pump that again. The Tuesday show, we had Pam, Rich, myself, and Ray all on the show. And it was 2 hours and 15 minutes of us giving our bets, talking about the game in great detail on both sides of the ball. Rich is now back down to the Super Bowl. He's there. He's actually going to be there until Tuesday. So Rich is down in New Orleans at the Super Bowl. And so there was some great content from that show on Tuesday evening if you want to go back and rewatch that and get a lot more serious about the game. But let's get a little bit more serious now, talking a little bit about Kansas City's. Let's talk first about when the Philadelphia Eagles have the football. And this first video, let's talk a little bit about Kansas City's bad run defense and what that could mean for their difficulty in going up against the Philadelphia Eagles team that has Saquon Barkley. Run defense has been hemorrhaging yardage of late, and that is doubly concerning when you consider they have played a very easy schedule of run offenses. Before Week 16, the Chiefs' run defense had not allowed an explosive run rate to any running back of more than 9.5% in any game. But of the 4 games that counted since Week 16, the Chiefs have allowed a 9.5% explosive run rate in every single game. Last week against the Buffalo Bills in the championship round, they resorted to loading the box, and even that didn't work. The Chiefs stacked the box with 8+ run defenders on 10 running back runs for the Buffalo Bills. And against those 8+ man loaded boxes, the Buffalo Bills running backs averaged 6.2 yards per carry, plus 0.52 EPA per rush, and 60% success, with a shocking 50% of those 10 runs gaining 5 or more yards. The Kansas City Chiefs run defense has their hands full on Sunday. Yeah, so I think we had a little bit more tails on that one during that video. Next, let's talk a little bit about, so we've got this difficult matchup for Kansas City, and they have been hemorrhaging those yards on the ground the last 3 weeks. That stat about the Buffalo Bills stacking the box on 10 runs against the Buffalo Bills, I obviously went through and charted out each of the box counts on the Buffalo Bills run plays to see how successful they were when they were running the ball against standard boxes of 7 men, light boxes of less than 7 men, or heavy boxes, which is more than 7 men. And those runs against 8+ box counts, the Buffalo Bills were having a ton of success. And it wasn't just one chunk run. It was a lot of success overall So that's could be theoretically a problem there for the Kansas City Chiefs defense. We know if they can't stop the Houston Texans and the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Buffalo Bills, I mean, really for the last 4 games or so, don't count week 18 because they played the Denver Broncos and again didn't really factor in as the Chiefs were resting everybody. But that's a problem going up against Saquon Barkley. So let's go to talk though about the offset, which is really one of the 2 biggest questions that I have. And when I've talked to you guys on Tuesday, I said the thing I'm most fascinated to watch with this game is the defensive coordinator battle here, the battle between these 2 defensive coordinators, because I just think they're 2 of the smartest in the game. And I'm really interested to see their game plans initially and then how they make their adjustments. But let's talk about how Spags has fared in these Super Bowls with poor run defenses going up against number 1 run offenses each of the last 2 years. In the Eagles in 2022, they had the number 1 run offense from running back runs, and the San Francisco 49ers last year, the number 1 run offense from running back runs, and how that Kansas City defense fared in the Super Bowl. Let's play that one. Can someone hire Steve Spagnuolo as a head coach already? This man is a defensive genius. Take a look at how he totally shut down the number 1 ranked run offense in each of the last 2 Super Bowls. Last year, he was facing Christian McCaffrey and the 49ers run offense that ranked number 1 in EPA per rush, number 1 in success rate, and number 1 in yards per carry. Spags took his 28th ranked run defense in yards per carry allowed and held that 49ers number 1 run offense to only 3.6 yards per carry with the longest run of 11 yards. The year before that, in 2022, it was nearly identical. He was going up against the Philadelphia Eagles run offense, which ranked number 1 in success, number 1 in EPA, and number 1 in yards per carry. Spags took his below average run defense and held that Eagles number 1 run offense to just 2.6 yards per carry and their top running back to 16 yards on 7 rushing attempts. This man is a miracle worker. The only question remains is, can he perform a miracle three-peat and hold Saquon Barkley in check on Sunday? Yeah, it's truly incredible the job that Spags has done defensively. I will continue to call him a miracle worker. I absolutely did not think that defense was going to have as much success against the ground game of the San Francisco 49ers last year. It was one thing for them to step up against the Philadelphia Eagles in the 2022 Super Bowl. The Philadelphia Eagles still put up points, but they had to do that when they pivoted to passing the football a lot more there in that second quarter. The first quarter, when they were trying to run, they got nothing accomplished. Miles Sanders' first carry was -1 yards. Kenneth Gainwell was getting nothing on the ground. And if you remember, that 2022 Philadelphia Eagles team to begin with was a very pass-heavy team. It's not like the team that we have this year. This 2024 Philadelphia Eagles is a run-first team. They have the highest run rate in the NFL, early downs in the first half of the game. That team in the Philadelphia Eagles was one of the most pass-heavy teams in the NFL that season. They just pivoted in the second half to runs because they were up big after the first half was over in most of their games. And as a result, they came back and they ran a lot in the second half. Even though they were a pass-first team, they still ran the ball a lot at the beginning of that game, in that first quarter specifically. Got nothing accomplished, turned to the pass game. I don't think that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to try to turn to the pass game. I don't think that they're going to come and try to start this game passing the football. I expect them to come out running the football. I'm not saying the very first play. They could throw a wrench in there. They could throw the ball on the first down of the game. But I do expect that they're going to lean into that run game and force Kansas City to come stop it. I don't think they're going to pass to open up the run. I obviously could be wrong, but that's just my gut based upon what I've seen them do the last 2 years in their biggest games in the postseason. Even though at times this was a more pass-heavy team, they were in that first quarter, especially a little bit more conservative, ran the football a little bit more, and they've got such a better run game this year with Saquon Barkley. Okay. Majority of content seems so. Tom has a question. Majority of content seems to favor the Eagles. The only glaring pro KC stat is Hurts holding on to the ball. If I wanted to bet the Eagles, should I wait or fire now? So my opinion, if you want the Eagles, I'd be looking to do that sooner rather than later. I do believe that there's a very good chance that this line is pick 'em by Sunday morning at worst. Pick 'em by Sunday morning at worst. It seems like there's going to be some Philadelphia Eagles money that's coming into the market. So if you want the Philadelphia Eagles, I would not be looking to wait on this game. Okay, let's get the next video queued up here. And this is the question that actually the point that you made, the only pro KC stat. Not, I'll disagree slightly. I do think there are a number of things that are pro KC, but the point that you made is valid. Hurts holding of the ball is an absolute problem. And another thing I'll say before I get into this that's interesting is the number of comments I intentionally sort of on, what day's today? Friday. I've lost track of all time this week. So on Wednesday, I was intentionally sort of tweeting out a little bit more pro Philadelphia Eagles stats. Sorry, pro Kansas City Chiefs stats, anti Philadelphia Eagles. And then everybody was coming out, oh, you hate the Eagles. You hate the Eagles. Very next day, I tweet, same timeline, tweet a little bit more of the opposite in favor of the Philadelphia Eagles and against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs come out in droves, fans come out in droves. Hey, you hate the Chiefs. You hate the Chiefs. So you know what that tells me? It tells me I'm doing a pretty balanced job here of objectively analyzing the Super Bowl with data and film and statistics and trying to come up with some great takeaways or things that I'm going to be looking forward to in the Super Bowl in terms of what I'm expecting is going to happen out there on the football field. And that's what I try to share with you guys. That's what we spent 2 hours and 15 minutes on Tuesday sharing. And that's what I'm doing a little bit here over this next half hour is what I think is going to happen to give you guys the best preparation possible. With that said, let's go and talk about Jalen Hurts and how he is taking on too much pressure. Offensive line ranks number 6 in pass block win rate. But out of 39 qualifying quarterbacks, the only quarterback to be pressured more often than Jalen Hurts was Deshaun Watson. It makes no sense to take pressure at that high of a rate when your offensive line is 6th in pass block win rate. But as a result of such high pressure rates, Jalen Hurts scrambled or took a sack on 18% of his dropbacks, right around Caleb Williams of the Chicago Bears. And when he attempted passes under pressure, he was dead last in both EPA and success rate. This has been a massive decline from how Hurts was playing in 2022 and during that 2022 Super Bowl run against this Kansas City Chiefs defense. The last time Hurts faced Spagnuolo's Chiefs was in 2023, and Spags sacked Hurts 5 times, caused him to throw 1 interception with no touchdowns and a minus 0.18 EPA per attempt. Spags is going to try to disguise coverages and blitzes and do whatever he can to make Jalen Hurts hold on to the ball until pressure arrives. Yeah, I mean, that's a big issue for Jalen Hurts, obviously, is his performance under pressure and how much pressure he's taking. And these two things are very correlated, but some quarterbacks are much better under pressure than what Jalen Hurts is this year because, and I say this year with an emphasis on this year, because in years past, he had done better against pressure. I'm not quite sure what it is with him this year as to why he is struggling a lot more with pressure, but he struggled when he's been pressured more this year. And he has been taking pressure at rates that he probably shouldn't be taking given his offensive line's performance in the pass block win rate metric. Okay, now let's flip to the other side of the ball a little bit here and talk about Patrick Mahomes and what we might see out of him, because this run game has not had much success at all. And right now we've got very low numbers on Isaiah Pacheco, a little bit higher numbers on Kareem Hunt. The market is basically expecting Kareem Hunt to be that sort of more or less bell cow for the Kansas City Chiefs and for Kareem Hunt to have a lot of opportunities, at least based upon his rushing yardage. And we'll see if that ends up being the case and how quickly Andy Reid might need to pivot if they can't run the football. But let's talk about this a little bit more. Philadelphia Eagles have Saquon Barkley and the NFL's most explosive rushing offense. The Kansas City Chiefs have the NFL's least explosive rushing offense. Only 3% of running back runs have produced explosive gains, the worst rate in the NFL. What makes that even more concerning is they have played the easiest schedule of explosive run defenses over the second half of the season. The NFL average for running back runs is 4.4 yards per carry. Kareem Hunt has gone well under that in 7 of his last 9 games. Isaiah Pacheco has gone well under that in 6 of his last 7 games. The Kansas City Chiefs run a lot of inside zone this year, but that's been very inefficient thanks in part to their offensive line injuries. This is nowhere near the caliber of run game that the Kansas City Chiefs had in prior Super Bowl championships. My guess is Andy Reid will come up passing the football and will need to stick with it, as we're unlikely to see any sort of consistency on the ground from Kareem Hunt or Isaiah Pacheco. All right, so I do believe, again, could be totally wrong. I'm wrong about a lot of things, of course, as everybody is. When you're betting on sports, you really can afford to be wrong 45% of the time, which is a crazy thing to say. But when you're betting, if you're hitting 55%, you are doing pretty well. Now, obviously, track records can do better than 55%, and we have, but 45% is a lot of losing. But I don't believe that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to have a lot of success on the ground. And then in the hunt for, no pun intended, this three-peat, I just don't expect Andy Reid is going to be relying on Kareem Hunt or Isaiah Pacheco, especially if he's not running like he did in that 2022 Super Bowl, to carry the team. I think that he's going to rely on his old faithful, which is Patrick Mahomes and this Kansas City Chiefs passing attack. So, let's next talk about Kansas City's short target depth and how Philadelphia's defense might match up here, because this is a really interesting talking point. Kansas City in the past used to be a very aggressive style of offense, and they would be one that I would actually expect. And there were these matchups. We'll talk about the matchups versus Vic Fangio, but there were these matchups in the past where Kansas City's pass offense did struggle a lot more against Vic Fangio. And it's in part because they were trying to hunt the big plays. They were trying to strike downfield. They had Tyreek Hill. They were a big strike, big play style of offense. So they averaged higher air yards. They held onto the ball a little bit longer, and they were trying to push the ball down the field. That is the type of offense that would struggle a little bit more against Vic Fangio, because what Vic Fangio wants to do is he's going to take away the deep stuff with his cover 6 and cover 4, and he's going to try to force you to dink and dunk your way down the field. And most quarterbacks are not efficient enough, proficient enough at, and patient enough dinking and dunking their way down the field to have enough success to sustain that drive and get into the red zone, so that they would be able to then ultimately, hopefully, score touchdowns. That was what the Kansas City Chiefs were running into a little bit more of in the 2022 not 2022 Super Bowl, in the years of 2019 through 2021, when they were playing Vic Fangio 6 times in those 3 years when he was with Denver. This year's Kansas City Chiefs team, though, is very different. They are okay with dinking and dunking down the field. In fact, that's what this team is by design. Night and day different than what this team used to be. Some of these statistics are pretty shocking. Why don't you play this video? 2024 Chiefs offense is very different from the last time they played the Eagles in the Super Bowl. This year, the Chiefs have the lowest target depth in the NFL and the highest rate of passes thrown behind the line of scrimmage. In fact, out of 192 teams since 2019, they rank second with the highest rate of passes thrown short of the line of scrimmage. Patrick Mahomes has never thrown shorter or faster than he is this year. Now, you might think that's a recipe for success against this Eagles pass rush and their pressure. While it may limit sacks, the Eagles defense is the #1 best defense this year defending passes thrown within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, and they're the #1 best defense defending passes thrown within 2.5 seconds of snap. This Eagles defense is well built to limit the upside of Patrick Mahomes' newfound short and quick passing game. So, is my point. And also, this Philadelphia Eagles team has not only is great versus those short passes, #1 in the NFL at passes thrown less than 5 yards. They're #1 in the NFL at passes thrown within 2.5 seconds. They're the best defense in both of those metrics. And Patrick Mahomes this is what he does. He's throwing the ball short and underneath quite frequently. So we'll see how he fares in his ability to perform there. But this is part of the reason why, we might see fewer like explosive Xavier Worthy plays down the field, is this cover 4 and cover 6. And Rich talked a lot about that quarters coverage against Worthy and how his ADOT on those plays is just very shallow. And which is the case from Rich's words, not mine, with a lot of younger receivers that struggle a little bit more against some of the more complex zone coverages down the field. And it's easier for them to find spots against a little bit more basic coverages. So we'll see how some of those deeper splash plays go, but that's not really what KC tries to do anyways. The number 2 rate of passes thrown short of the line of scrimmage out of 192 teams across the season since 2019. Crazy. Number 2 shortest rate. It's not really what you would expect from Patrick Mahomes. I think the percentage is 31% of his passes are thrown short of the line of scrimmage, if I'm remembering from my report. Okay, let's talk next about the Eagles' third down defense. This is another battle. We're getting into the biggest battle, but this is when Kansas City has the ball, in my opinion. This is the first biggest battle. And if the Chiefs are able to win this battle, then they'll get to the second biggest battle of this game when they have the football. But the first biggest battle is just Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes specifically versus Vic Fangio on third down. This is some pretty shocking numbers. Go ahead and play this. Third downs, the Philadelphia Eagles don't blitz. They blitz at the third lowest rate. They also don't play man coverage. They play man coverage at the fourth lowest rate. Instead, they play no blitz zone at the number 1 highest rate in the NFL on third downs. They use it on 66% of opposing dropbacks, highest in the NFL. Surprisingly, although they're playing a ton of no blitz zone, they play virtually no cover 2. It's all quarters and cover 6. And guess what? Patrick Mahomes struggles mightily versus quarters and cover 6 on third down. Check out the graphic right here. You can see that out of 43 qualifying quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes ranks number 42 in his first down rate when facing quarters or cover 6 on third downs this year. This cat and mouse game on third down between Patrick Mahomes and Vic Fangio is going to be outstanding and certainly must-see TV on Sunday. So Patrick has definitely struggled against those cover 4 and cover 6 looks that Vic Fangio lives in. So when I'm breaking down games in a game like the Super Bowl as well, although the offense does have 2 weeks to prepare, so they know what's coming. And trust me, Andy Reid has gone up against Vic Fangio a ton, obviously, since the days in Denver. And of course, there were 2 games last year that Andy Reid went up against Vic Fangio. I do think it's somewhat humorous when people say that, oh, well, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are 8-0 against Vic Fangio, so that's all that matters. The numbers that we're going to show here momentarily about Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes' performance against a certain aspect of Vic Fangio's defense is the biggest takeaway from all of those meetings to me. Not the 8-0 record Andy Reid against Vic Fangio, because Vic Fangio is not coaching the offense in those games, is not controlling who the quarterback is. And although Jalen Hurts has struggled, he's still much better than the vast majority of those Denver Broncos quarterbacks that Vic Fangio had leading the team, or that roster of offense, or the offensive line, or the run game, or all the things that are on that side of the ball. So if you want to simplify it to just say, oh, Andy Reid is 8-0 against Vic Fangio, Chiefs win, I think that that's a little, anybody can do that. It's taking the shortcut. It's not putting in the homework. And you're looking at some of the wrong things, in my opinion. So I think that's going to the first aspect, the first matchup is going to be, can they have success on third down to move the ball into the red zone? And that's where this next video really takes things over, in my opinion, to the biggest matchup of this game when the Kansas City Chiefs have the football. Kansas City Chiefs offense has been absolutely phenomenal, but since 2019, they've played Vic Fangio's defense 8 times. Now, they drive the ball into the red zone at the same rate versus Fangio or versus every other defense at a 37% clip. But when they play Fangio, they are getting stifled when they get down to the red zone. They're scoring touchdowns in the red zone only 37% of the time against Fangio versus 62% versus any other defense. That is massive. And down in goal to go, they're scoring touchdowns against Fangio on only 38% of goal to go drives as opposed to 79% versus everyone else. That could be a big problem for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, because what you don't know about this Chiefs team is because while they're not putting up high point totals, this Chiefs offense ranks number 2 in rate of drives that reaches the red zone. They've entered the red zone on 40% of their offensive drives, the best for any Chiefs offense in the regular season since 2018. And in the postseason, they've taken 58% of their drives into the red zone. That's the best for any offense NFL-wide in the postseason since 2003. So they've been great at driving the ball into the red zone. But they have struggled when they've gotten into the red zone this year. Their biggest trouble is scoring touchdowns down inside of the red zone. They're scoring touchdowns on only 54% of their trips to the red zone. That is the worst offense for Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes since those two joined forces. They are not punching in touchdowns. And that's before even going up against a Vic Fangio defense that has stifled even the best Kansas City Chiefs red zone offenses in years past. So that's to me is the biggest question, and Exile summed it up pretty nicely. The first battle is third down. The second battle is in the red zone. And you know, the Chiefs this year, they've been matriculating the ball down the field. Like I said, this is not a quick strike offense, and Vic Fangio doesn't allow you to be a quick strike offense against him. So they're going to matriculate the ball. They're going to be in third down. They're going to need to perform better against cover 4 and cover 6 than what they've done over the course of the rest of the season. They're then going to need to get in the red zone, and they're going to have to perform inside of the red zone better than what they've done this year and better than what they've done over the course of all of their 8 games against Vic Fangio's defense. Because this year, like I said, that's the only reason. If you read the report, I've got some interesting numbers in here about kind of the perspective of this Kansas City Chiefs offense. Let me see if I can find the exact page. It's right here, page 43 of the report. This Kansas City Chiefs offense is better than you think. And I don't want to lick my finger because I got the coin here. If you're going to look at points per game, they're 14th. If you want to look at yards per game, they're 16th. So like the dinosaur type stats that you would look at, they're about league average. If you look at like yards per play, yards per pass, yards per rush, they're actually bottom 10. They're 23rd in yards per play, 23rd in yards per pass, 29 in yards per rush. But when you start looking at some of the more efficiency-based statistics like EPA, like success rate, okay, now we're talking like close to top 10. They're 11th in EPA per play, 7th in success rate. But what they're just so darn good at doing is possessing the football and driving the ball. They're very good on third down, and they're really good at getting into the red zone. And I don't know enough people are talking about the fact that 40% of their drives have reached the red zone this season. I mentioned it in the video. And so far this postseason, they lead all teams in rate to reach the red zone in the playoffs all the way back since 2003. There hasn't been a better offense at reaching the red zone during a postseason run than the Kansas City Chiefs. So they're getting down there. The issue is their conversion rate is the only reason they're not scoring as many points per game. They look like a league average offense in points per game. They've only had that, with the one game over 30 points this year. The only reason that is because they haven't been converting down inside the red zone. So normally you would look at that and say, okay, this is something that should regress. They're getting down there at the second highest rate this year. They should be able to then punch some touchdowns in. This is just bad luck for them with the small sample size of red zone plays. But the reality is, you know, and that led me to bet some of their overs. I bet a bunch of overs in the AFC Championship game for the points in the first half and the full, because Kansas City is going up against the Buffalo Bills defense, which is just not a good defense. And they're not that great inside of the red zone either. This Eagles team is just much different. This Eagles team is much better inside of the red zone, and they're going to let you drive there. I mean, that's one of the things. That's a bad flip. That's one of the things that they've been struggling with. But their performance down inside of the red zone is a problem. Red zone problems is not a regression issue, says Strong Jaw Rick. 49ers sucked in the red zone and never figured it out. So in many cases, it's an offensive scheme, it's a play calling, it's your personnel, and whether or not you can, you know, for a while there, who remembers the days of Bruce Arians, the no risk it, no biscuit offense of like the Arizona Cardinals when he was the head coach of that team and they went to the Super Bowl against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And his style of offense, where it was a lot of deep strikes, that style of offense did not work very well inside of the red zone because they're so built and so accustomed to getting all the big plays down the field that they don't know how to operate in the smaller confined space, which is what makes it so perplexing this year, in my opinion, for the Kansas City Chiefs to struggle so much inside of the red zone, because this is how their offense is built. It's not built on deep strikes. It's not built on explosive plays. It's built on having success in regular down down and distance, in short underneath passes. This is where they thrive, and they're still struggling down inside of the red zone. But going up against a team like the Kansas City Chiefs is going to make, or like the Philadelphia Eagles is going to make things so difficult. Okay, I'm going to do 3 more. We're at 1:30 now. Let's do 3 more. 1, 2, 3. All right, so that's going to be the final count for the coin toss. We have, what would our percentage be here? 261 and 226, 261 out of 487. 53.5% was heads. The rest was tails. So a fun thing to have Edward on the show. Edward was a very interesting guest. Hopefully that you guys decide to go over to X and follow him over there. He specializes in novelty props and kind of his research and analysis when trying to bet novelty props, and has had some pretty good success in that. So make sure that you're following him at Edward Raus over there on X. And it was fun, to flip this coin while we were interviewing Edward for an hour. So once again, this is not meant to be some sort of a serious content. We've given you a ton of serious Super Bowl content over the prior 2 weeks leading into this game. Now this is the epitome of fun and relaxation. Why don't you guys share in the Slack what you guys are planning on doing for the Super Bowl? Because I love the Super Bowl. Any favorite Super Bowl foods that you guys got? I said Slack. I'm used to talking to all of my employees over Slack and communicating with everybody. But in the chat, is there any Super Bowl favorites that you have? What do you like to do? Do you like to have your friends and family over? Do you like to go somewhere to watch the game out? Do you like to try to buy tickets to some of the big stadiums and watch the games if you're out in Vegas? What type of meals are you cooking, or what's your favorite food? Go ahead and drop those in the chat. I'll tell you one of the things that we're going to be doing here that I'm looking forward to is, and I'll take some pictures of this when I go tomorrow. I'm going to go pick up some, it's about 40 minutes away, one of the best Creole Cajun spots in the area. And I'm going to be going and picking up a ton of food. We've got the red beans and rice. We've got the gumbo. We've got the jambalaya. We've got the etouffee. We've got beignets. I'm going to be getting all that stuff. And then we're going to have it on Sunday, just trays of it. I cannot wait. Get a little taste of New Orleans, because most of these Super Bowls, I mean, you guys probably know this, but certainly from going to the Super Bowls every year, it's going to this city, that city, the other. New Orleans is a lot different than most of the other Super Bowl cities. I can't tell you how many times we've been going over to the West Coast, whether it was Los Angeles or Las Vegas. I think I've been to Los Angeles twice for the Super Bowl. Las Vegas. Next year is going to be in San Francisco. Been down to Miami, a couple spots there. Atlanta. Not all these spots have, the style of food that's just really unique to that part of the country. So I'm looking forward to kind of playing that up a little bit for the Super Bowl. Tyler says Skyline time, Cincinnati chili. All right, so it gets it like Skyline. I assume you're from that area, or do you order it? I imagine they also ship it nationwide, so I think they do that. Better Boss is going to the hot dog bar. Oh, you make a hot dog bar. My bad. Not you're going to it. You make a hot dog bar with all the fixings. That's probably pretty fun. All the fixings out there. Probably maybe some good nachos and cheese or something with that. I'm not sure what you do there, Better Boss, but that's a lot of fun. Tom says, I used to enjoy large gatherings for the big game. However, I've grown into observing in peace. Let me ask you this follow-up question there, Tom. That's not a bad idea. It does get sort of stressful. Watching the game with a lot of different people around. Do you bet a lot on the Super Bowl? Do you find that you just need to focus by yourself because you go crazy with everybody else and all the distractions, or do you just enjoy being a little bit more of hermit style when you're watching the game? Strong Jaw Rick likes the smoked meats and chili. So we got a couple of people that like the chili with the Super Bowl, and you can't go wrong with the smoked meats. I definitely agree there. Strong Jaw, do you get some out, or do you do it yourself? Do you have a smoker, and what kind of meat are we talking about here? Jason says we keep it classic with pizza and wings. That is classic. Wings, some great options for the wing market if you're ordering out. I'm sure that there are some people that make a good wing as well. Tyler says, yeah, Walmart carries it. So he's talking about that Skyline chili. Goes to Walmart and gets the chili there. Larry is making huge cheesesteaks with copper sharp cheese whiz or without. Copper sharp. What is copper sharp? I've never heard of that. I've obviously heard of sharp cheese, but haven't heard of copper sharp, Larry. Watching with non-Bird fans, but rooting for Saquon Barkley, local legend. So there you go. Saquon, that was funny. Back in the day, that comment from like a couple of weeks ago, whenever that guy was talking about him. Jimmy has done our NFL referee graphic. So shout out to you, Jimmy. It's good to see you in here. Sometimes we bring in Joe Gibbs and it's the penalty flag that hits the ref. Jimmy did that animation doing the cheesesteak slider. So are you rooting for the Eagles, Jimmy, or is this just your preferred meal of choice? Brian says magnums of fine wine. Boy, can I not agree harder there, Brian. I'm going to be tapping into some nice wine myself. I rotate all through different types of alcohol during the Super Bowl. It's definitely the one day of the year to play it up. Although I will say this year's Super Bowl, fingers crossed, you never know what could happen, is a lot better for me already than last year. Last year in the Vegas Super Bowl, I got back, immediately went to a high school basketball game. Very next moment after that, like the next morning, woke up, started feeling like crap. I ended up coming down with COVID from being out at the Super Bowl. And I literally was like watching the game by myself on my couch. That was the first time that I had gotten COVID and felt like absolute shit for last year's Super Bowl. And then of course, like the next couple of days immediately thereafter. So this year's Super Bowl, certainly looking for a much better result and being able to drink some alcohol, eat some great food, and have a lot of fun. So Tom said after an excellent season, we missed. Yeah, let's hit Tom. After an excellent season riding with you over the years, I've had many bets placed the past few years. Thank you for the great season, sir. You got it, Tom. Thank you for being here and for participating in the show and for being a client. I work my butt off for you guys and hope everybody has successful years each year. Green egg, Strong Jaw Rick says green egg brisket. Okay, so he smokes his own on his green egg. Good pork shoulder and a brisket. Brisket, very challenging, so you must be pretty good, Rick, if you make a mean brisket. Pork shoulder, I love those. Those are a little bit easier to smoke. I'm the same. I'm old and like cooking at home. Well, nothing wrong with that at all, Rick. Cooking at home is a lot of fun. There's joy that you can get out of cooking, and it's fun if you're good at it. I can't cook anything during the season. I can't cook anything, but I love during the off season. Sometimes smoking meats, rotisserie, and other grill. I love it. So when I have time, I enjoy grilling and cooking as well. Greenbelt Glass said, we like to do whoever's playing in the game and have their food. So Philly cheesesteaks and barbecue this year. But other years we've done clam chowder for the Patriots. Well, I hope what was that one movie, or there was a line, I hope you like, it wasn't clam chowder, but I hope you like clam chowder because that's what you're getting. So many years that the Patriots were in the Super Bowl. So you guys probably don't eat barbecue for a couple of weeks before this game, knowing how frequently the Kansas City Chiefs are in the Super Bowl. I love good barbecue, so I wouldn't grow tired of it. But Chiefs seem to be here third straight year. Let's see if they can make it 3 in a row, and Philly cheesesteaks as well. That's a good idea, Greenbelt. Cooper, Larry said copper. I said Cooper cheese. Last time Kansas City played, we did chicken and waffles. Okay, so you did mix it up a little bit there. Strong Jaw, you're the best, Warren. Congrats on an incredible season. Thank you, Rick. Appreciate it. King Warren, do you have a longest prop or a favorite prop for us? I'll get that to you here in a second, Peter. Strong jaw. Can't wait until next season and watching the Sharp Football Show grow. Just keep in mind, guys, this is the first year that we did this show. I would love to hear any feedback that you guys have, what you liked, what you didn't like about the show in the off season to kind of make things a little bit better, even moving forward. So would be happy to hear that. If you want to shoot me a DM, my DMs on X are open. Don't really use other media outlets, but I need to get into that a little bit more. Jimmy says, usually kind of hate the Eagles, but I am in their camp for this one. Saquon is a different kind of problem for Spags. I agree. Saquon is, Jimmy. It's going to be really interesting to see. He was able to slow down CMC last year, though. CMC was a different animal too, but you got the offensive line. The difference with this rushing attack than the 49ers rushing attack is you've got the offensive line, which is better, and you've got a quarterback who can also run on the option runs. And that's going to be something that, obviously Brock Purdy wasn't doing and the 49ers offensive line didn't have last year, but they did get to face this offense in 2022 and they slowed them down, but that was without Saquon Barkley. So let's see what happens this year. I cannot wait. Barbecue is the best food. Tyler says, best show in the field, bar none. Already can't wait for training camp and diving into futures. I'm sick in the head and love it. Exile, you've been one of the most frequent commenters. We really appreciate you being around this season. It was great to hear from you and great to get your input on each and every show. So thanks for participating. Jason says, what are the chances we can get a Super Bowl recap show with House and the Pies? Okay, so let me be frank. House was down at the Super Bowl. He's coming back tomorrow. He has an invite to the party that I'm having at my house. He might be showing up at my house with all this Cajun food. He was the one who recommended the spot that we're going to. So House gave me the direct recommendations. He talked to a bunch of local chefs because you guys know House is like a major foodie in the DC area. Like he's got, not only is he a big time foodie wherever he goes, but he's got all the connections and he knows all the people in the DC area. So we talked to a bunch of chefs locally and figured out a couple of the best spots to get food from in the DC area. And we gave me two options. I picked one of those options. That's where we're getting the food from. So that's why I got to drive 45 minutes to go pick it up tomorrow. And he's got an invite with his family for Sunday. He may be able to make it. He may not be able to make it. I will tell you this, it'd be a hell of a lot easier if we did have that 18th game and the Super Bowl did fall on President's Day weekend so that kids didn't have to go to school the next day. And back in the day when my family didn't take the Super Bowl quite as seriously as I do now because we're crazy and this is what I do for a living. But back in the day, the Super Bowl was always fun, but you would get up for school the next day. We'd have a smaller scale party, but nothing crazy. Now, I mean, none of my kids want to go to school the next day. They don't, they have the party. They do not want to go to school the next day. They say all their friends at school don't want to go to school the next day. So, but until it's actually on a true holiday, we should call the holiday Super Bowl hangover and just make it be the Monday after the Super Bowl, but that's not going to happen. Peter says, are you guys going to Heil Exile to the Sharp Team? I don't know. I haven't given that any thought. Exile, you'd have to reach out in the off season. Let me know what your plans are here, buddy. But have not given that any thought. One of the props that I like a lot for this Super Bowl has to do with just the issues that I believe Kansas City is going to run into when they're driving into the red zone. We kind of talked about this a little bit ad nauseum, and this is going to mean they're going to end up kicking more field goals. I don't know if this is still there, but even as of last night, if you guys have access to Bet365, they still had the prop up there. Total team field goals from the Kansas City Chiefs over 1.5 minus 115. That was still there at minus 115 at Bet365. The rest of the market is a lot higher. I did a quick spot on VSiN earlier today with Gil Alexander, and they run their show at VSiN at Circa. And Circa had the best line in the market that I could see on Harrison Butker over 1.5 field goals. And that was at minus 150. That was a great line. And I mentioned it live on air. I would absolutely bet minus 150. The other lines out there on Harrison Butker are, I don't know the exact, I got to pull it up here. Actually, let me tell you what they are. It's now up to minus 160. I'm looking at my odds screen right now because I have it set to Harrison Butker here. It's minus 160. The best line I now see in the market is BetMGM is minus 155 on Harrison Butker over 1.5 field goals. Pinnacle has it minus 160. DK's at minus 173. So these lines are a little bit high, but I still like it. And any type of derivative market, first thing I would do is do a little bit of research, just like you found at Bet365. Is there another way to bet this? Team field goals. Team field goals should be even higher than Harrison Butker. What if Harrison Butker gets hurt and then Harrison Butker can't kick and they bring somebody else in to make a field goal? Team field goals should be priced at a higher line than an individual player field goal. But it's, as of last night, while all the rest of the market was at minus 150, minus 160, minus 170, minus 175, Bet365. And again, I know it's like a smaller prop. It's more of a derivative. You probably can't get down nearly as much there. So I'm just pointing out to people that could get down on it. That prop is really good as well. If you're interested, I see this as high as like minus 190 at Hard Rock. So again, and I highly encourage you, as you might be doing if you do want to bet that coin toss, to shop around and look for the best lines on all of the Super Bowl props before you place your bets. But certainly on the Butker field goal prop, I'm seeing as low as minus 155, as high as minus 190. That's a massive difference, obviously, between those two numbers. And then we're also seeing derivatives of team field goals at like minus 115 over 1.5. So I would recommend team field goals for Kansas City over 1.5 at minus 115 in a heartbeat. Wouldn't give it a second thought. Go bet that one at Bet365. So, but otherwise, I like the rest of it. All right. Peter says, when should we do our hobbies and house chores so that we are set up for the game? You always help us organize our personal life as well as great football advice. So obviously the way that I would recommend watching this, even if it's only one game on, is if you have that secondary TV that's delayed by, I prefer around 6 seconds, so I could fully watch the result of whatever just happened and then flip my vision over to get an instant replay from that second screen. That's what I love doing. You can't do it during the games on Sunday, week 16, you can't do it. But on the standalone games, Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, you absolutely can do it. And when I'm sitting here for most of my games, I'm sitting here right in my office. I've got 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 7 computer monitors here in front of me. And then I've got 2, as you can sort of see in the reflection, but they're not turned on. I've got 2 TVs up top. So I'll always, on those Sunday night or Monday night standalone games, I'll have one of the TVs set to real time, and then I'll have one of them pause 5 seconds slower so that I can always get an instant replay of every single play if I want to. I'm obviously not going to be watching the Super Bowl sitting here in this glass enclosed office, but I will be watching it on a variety of other places throughout the house as we're kind of hosting and running around, and there's TVs in every single room. So some spots you're not going to have that ability to have multiple TVs, but if you do have a setup where it lets you get a second screen, I advise you to do that. I advise you to get all your chores done super early. I advise you to be paying attention to some of these props that there's going to be a lot of under action, I believe, in the 3 to 6 hours leading into the Super Bowl. I remember going out to Las Vegas several years ago, back before they had all these mobile apps and before they had all legalized sports betting in the United States. And I mean, Sunday before the Super Bowl, the betting on these props was just such a rush because the markets were still relatively fresh. Now they open up prop market the Monday after the game's announced. And so you have 13 days. Here you have far less than that. Back then you had far less than that. And so a lot more lines that were off, a lot more fun betting these things and just running around, getting down, betting large volumes of money, different spots, and then reconvening back into one primary sports book to watch the game in the VIP section with a couple of the big whales from Vegas that I'm familiar with. So that was very different, but very fun. But I'm still sure that there's going to be opportunities to bet on some unders for some player props on Sunday. And then get ready for the festivities. Make sure you're not scrambling too close to the game. Get all your Super Bowl squares organized well before. Figure out what type of contest you're doing with people that you might be having over. And the other thing I will add is do not forget that we've got the free prop contest at sharp.football. Make sure you guys go and enter that. We're giving away up to $2,000 in cash and prizes. Takes 4 minutes to enter. Go to sharp.football and just answer 15 quick questions. Takes 4 minutes to do the survey and go through and answer those prop questions and see if you're going to be walking away a winner. And if you're interested in all the rest of our bets that we have for subscribers, you're interested in this 76-page Super Bowl report, head on over to sharpfootballanalysis.com. Check it out. You can find it over there. Use code SHOW50. You can get everything for 50% off. I'll probably have some more stuff between now, it's Friday, and Sunday for subscribers. And, of course, everything. There's a lot of stuff that's already up there, including a bunch of long shots. So the last little piece of advice that I'll throw out there as it relates to Super Bowl betting, if you're still sticking around here, is, Tom, I would dabble a little bit on 2 field goals in the first half at plus 250. Dabble. Why not? If smaller. But one thing, speaking of dabbling, if you think that like you should try to paint some worlds for some long shot same game parlays, like there's a world, of course, right, where the Eagles win this game. And in that game, let's pretend the receivers aren't going off. So it's mainly like Jalen Hurts or Saquon Barkley. That's who it's down to. It's very unusual rather, that you would be in a situation like we are this year, where the quarterback for the team that might win the game has such long odds to win the MVP. Jalen Hurts is so much longer odds than Saquon Barkley or quarterbacks are most years. And so if Jalen Hurts steals a couple of those goal line runs and scores an anytime touchdown or 2, and takes away from a Saquon because that would then steal one from Saquon Barkley theoretically, you could parlay Jalen to win the MVP, Jalen Hurts, with 1 or 2 plus rushing touchdowns, with an under rushing touchdowns for Saquon Barkley. And you parlay all of those together, obviously with the Eagles win. You don't really need to throw Eagles win on there. It's probably not adding that much because it's so correlated. That's going to give you a pretty solid payout, right? If you throw some of those together. Conversely, you could bet the Saquon route of Saquon winning MVP, Jalen Hurts under on his passing yards, or Jalen Hurts throws an interception, whatever you might want to do to make it so that the Eagles are winning and Saquon's winning, but Jalen Hurts isn't having a good enough game to steal the MVP away from Saquon Barkley. So there's a variety of different ways that you could build some same game parlays that are correlated. They're really going to jack up your payout. And again, you just dabble on that. So, all right, guys. No, I could tell you, Rick says the plot twist is exile is Rich Rebar. No chance in that. Rich is down there at New Orleans, and exile is always here. Rich is always busy. So Rich is usually working his tail off during the week. So at any rate. All right, guys. Hope you enjoy the Super Bowl. Had a ton of fun. We'll be back next week, next Tuesday at noon Eastern. We're going to do a Super Bowl recap show for you live next Tuesday. So make sure you're following along over at Sharp Football Analysis on YouTube, and give us a thumbs up to this show. Subscribe, and thanks so much for being with us throughout the course of the season. This content is going to keep going, though, year round. So see you guys after the game. Good luck on all your bets. Go,